Welcome back to A Good Pour. I'm Kathryn Good, your host. Again, we have wrapped up season 2 of A Good Pour, and full of all kinds of tips, best practices, good stories, and I hope you have taken the time to listen to those episodes. In case you've missed some, we are doing some compilation episodes just to kind of highlight some of the best tips and stories that we've heard. This episode is about business tips, and just excited to take these one-liners or stories, these little clips from all of these episodes that might help you in business. So Jason Elkins had so many business tips, so many communication tips. Just one of my favorite guests of the season, but he taught us to listen more than you talk. He taught us to say no to the work that does not align with your values. And he talked a lot about staying in your lane. So find people who can do the work that you can't or don't want to do. That sometimes we just need extra help, and it's good to find people that are in other lanes than the lane we want to be in.
And then I think it's really critical on follow-up if you are interested in ever working with that person again. And that could be as simple as like a thank you text or email and maybe an introduction to them. So there's some certain things that I do in the class that's systematized, but the main thing is that 70-30 split on listening and then making sure everybody you meet, maybe they leave in a little better state than they were when they got there. It's okay to say no, even when you don't have any money. It's okay to say no to those. And that was something that I experienced early on, like taking jobs just because I needed the cash or whatnot. And they almost never worked out. Where the clients that we connect with and where we can be our best is when we're aligned with whatever their kind of core values maybe and direction.
You don't have to know everything.
Yeah.
It's good.
You don't know this, but when I started my business, I think over half the work that I was doing came from other marketing companies.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 70%. And some of them, I was making more as a sub for some of those clients than it was on the clients that I was direct billing.
Yeah.
I had to like step back and say, what's the reason for that? What's that process? Why is that happening? And I think your statement of finding those people is so critical.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So DJ was a guest, and he talked about telling your story. He specifically talked about telling your story on video. Just did a really good job about telling your story in a way that aligns with other people. I think if you listen to this episode in full, you will see you will really relate to his story. But when we tell our story, we are relatable, we are memorable, and he just outlined some really neat ways to do that.
Stories are what relate us to each other. It's not being corporate or businessy and you're trying to figure out what's going to get me the most sales. It's like, no, I need to know who you are so that way I can actually, engage with you and relate to you. And I think that's why video's super important for sure.
Yeah. Aaron Birch reminded us not to be afraid to ask for help. Again, another story of sometimes we just need help. Sometimes we need expertise that is not ours. Sometimes we are just out of bandwidth and we need to expand our capacity. So she talked about asking for help. She also talked about the different perspectives that we each can bring to the table and why it is so important to find various business leaders, various people from different backgrounds to give you different perspectives. It's so important as we're running a business to bring other people to the table. And Aaron reminded us of that.
I think there's a couple of things, but probably more than anything, it was to ask for help when I needed it. As a nonprofit, you can ask any one of us. We usually lack some sort of resources, whatever resource it might be. And I'm pretty good about asking for our organization, but it was long days. It was a lot of emotion, and it was a lot of untreaded territory for me. So it took a lot more brain power and a lot more emotion to get through that. And so personally for me, it was leaning into ask for help from friends, from family, from business associates, and just saying, I'm not going to be able to do this all by myself. And when I say all by myself, I say our organization. I think they're kind of combined a little bit for me in that it might be easy. I've had this conversation with a lot of people. When someone's a nonprofit, they're like, oh, well, of course you're doing good. you're a nonprofit. By the nature of the sector, that's what you do. True. But I could also argue that any leader in any industry, any sector, whether you're in manufacturing like my husband, or you work at a hospital or retail or whatever it might be, everyone has the opportunity to lead strong, and everybody has the opportunity to do good. Because for me, what makes a good leader, what makes good work is seeing the person in front of you. And so that might mean not being frustrated when you could be, not being annoyed when you could be, not responding like you are actually listening to what they're saying, and then kind of taking your ego out of it a little bit. It's difficult because, like, for me, I have to be the face of United Way of Sumner County, which I have a love-hate relationship with, because I love that I get to do this, and I really feel like I don't just work for United Way, I work for
the people,
40 other nonprofits.
Oh, well, that too, yes.
Really, I work for and with them. To me, that is incredible leadership, when you see a need and you reach out, but also to really pay attention to the people who are in front of you. Yeah. I think we miss that a lot now. We're so distracted, and to be able to really see the person in front of you, hear their needs, even hear their complaints and not pile on. Those are things that make great leaders, because then you're able to get past it, whatever maybe the issue is, but also to hear, again, the person in front of you, whether it's a need or an idea. Because so many good things come to me that are not from me. Mm-hmm. They're from others. Yep. And so if I led with just me knowing, because I happen to be the face and leader of the organization, we would have missed the boat on a lot of things.
Jennifer Reedy with Bright Spot joined us with lots of business tips. She has been so fun to watch grow her business over the last several years. Core values really stood out in this episode about how the culture and the core values that you have set can help you run a business. And she has done that so well. She also talks about investing in her employees. Our employees are the backbone of our businesses. And so she gives us some tips and hints on how to invest in our employees.
And for me, cleaning isn't just about, a clean home. Mm-hmm. I really started the business because I wanted to create a business that stood on 4 core values. Customer commitment, which I feel like we do good work there, because 100% customer satisfaction. I want my customers to be happy, but I don't want them to be happy just because they don't have cobwebs. We're all busy people, whether you're single or in a family, children, baseball practice, or you're doing different,
just life.
Just life. But for me, I wanted to provide a service for people that they felt safe and comfortable for it. But I don't want to just be the person who cleans houses. I want my girls to be able to be offered benefits. I want them to be able to do their job with pride on their shoulders and not feel like the maid's coming in. Right. I want them to feel good about what they're doing for our customers, but the only way I can do that is by doing great things for my employees. I spend a lot of time in personal development and people development so that I can learn and evolve, which innovation is another one of my core values. I want to evolve with people. And life is tough, and life, as I've experienced it as a mother in the last 17 years, has been very challenging. And you think in the moment that it's all about your world falling apart, but when you put yourself in other people's homes, you see a world that a lot of people don't see. And so it gave me a real unique opportunity to realize that their struggles are for everyone. Mm-hmm. And if I want people to deliver that, then I've got to make them feel that way. So what I try to do good with them is I recognize them all the time. We try to do team meetings where I do gift cards for fast food. I think a lot of times employers, they give incentives because they think that's what their employees want. but they are doing it from a place of not true understanding instead of just giving. So for my girls, I try to tailor the things that they like whether it's their favorite chocolate or what they like to drink or where they like to shop. But the most important thing is that it's for them, not their children. My girls work to keep food on the table, and it gives them that, oh, she did this for me. Right. So here last month, I sent 3 of my girls to get pedicures during a weekday, and they just felt so valued. I felt so good because I made them feel valued.
Kate Richie with Habitat for Humanity gave us a great business lesson that's really simple, and that is to surround yourself with good people. She has done that with her team, her board, the partners that she works with. She reminds us that the people we surround us with can help make or break our business.
What I do is I do surround myself with good people. And I would start with my staff being that good people and then extending that to the board. I have a great board of directors and they are so knowledgeable. I have, finance, development, insurance, attorneys to help me, build more houses. I've never built a house before I started with Habitat. And so just knowing what their passion is in their business and that they can turn around and bring that back to our business, it's great. It's really great.
Jared Stansel with Anchor Transportation joined us with lots of business tips. A few that stand out for me is one, investing in your employees with support. They actually have chaplains that they can call on and it's totally confidential. So this is a way he has invested in his employee when they might need a little bit of support.
And so we started presenting that to them saying, hey, this is free, you can have this. Part of our job, we do a lot of sitting because we're bus drivers. So you take someone to a venue, you wait for the game to be over and come back to say, hey, while you're there, if this is a resource, I could help you. And so we've had some positive feedback that said, you're right, I'm just kind of hanging around, but now I got a resource to where I can learn something or do something or find out about it. So these are things that came out of being in a peer advisory group saying, what are you doing to help your folks? And how's it helping? It is very humbling and hard, but it's very necessary to self-evaluate, like, how am I doing? Because it's easy to get consumed in the business side of things and the events and the programs, and it is easy to lose track.
Loved having Troy Smith on our show. He was such a positive light. He just talked about being positive and having a positive mindset and having positive people. If you need a little positivity in your life, go listen to that episode, but at least listen to this clip from Troy.
Every day is, I believe in, like it says in Matthew 6:33, take care of the day as it is for today. And if there's any Bible scholars out there, make sure I quoted the right thing. But it's in Matthew 6. Take care of the day as it is for today. That's
better than I do. I usually, it's in Matthew somewhere, or it's in the New Testament. That's what I can tell you.
But take care of the day as it's called today. Yeah. Let tomorrow take care of itself, right? I only can take care of right now. So every day is a new thought process. Just like in sales. Everything in sales, it's not about what you did yesterday. Oh, that's great. But what you do today? Oh, what's about tomorrow? Don't worry about tomorrow. What are you doing right now? So that's how I live life. And sales taught me a lot of that. Yeah. The two most important currencies in life are time and relationship. Time you got to invest wisely because you can't get it back. Relationships to get you places that money can't buy. So I started looking at those type of things that helped me get to where I am, to share it in that book. So importance of appearance.
What do you mean by importance of appearance?
So, for example, I used to wear, you ever seen the movie Friday?
Oh, yeah.
If you're from the hood, it's a hood classic. But Friday, they had a guy named Debo.
Yes, they sure did.
Debo wore something called corduroy house shoes. I wore those every day in school. Corduroy house shoes, cut off T-shirts, nothing that be appealing. Athletic wear too. To the point to where I said, if I want to be taken seriously, you got to change the way that you dress. Not the fact of doing something, no, just change the way that you dress a little bit. And you walk in the room and you're taking seriously just because of the way you look.
Here are a few more business tips from our guests from season 2. I hope you will join us in 2025 for more good stories, more business tips, and just more goodness. See you soon.
But our volunteers know that there's 3 of us, and if you call and Laura doesn't answer, call Amy. If Amy doesn't answer, call Sonia. One of us is going to answer or get back to you.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it work for us. Everyone's really, really good at what they do, and they get it on a daily basis. I don't have to ask questions.